Last season, something happened to Manchester City that nobody expected. A team that once controlled everything suddenly couldn't control anything. From the first month, the warning signs hit fast. Rodri out for months, De Bruyne fighting injuries, Stones and Diaz unable to stay fit long enough to build rhythm. The midfield kept changing, the back line kept breaking, and opponents, teams that used to fear City, began pressing them with confidence. The aura was gone. The calm, the structure, the dominance vanished. Then came the blows that hurt even more. A Champions League stumble against Real Madrid when City looked fragile. A Premier League season where a newcomer outcoached Guardiola over 38 games. An FA Cup final where Crystal Palace, yes, Crystal Palace, outworked them. By the end, City looked empty, tired, beatable. For the first time in years, they looked human. But Pep Guardiola doesn't stay down for long, because the moment that season ended, a rebuild began. Quietly, ruthlessly, piece by piece. From the back line to the midfield to the attack, he started constructing something new. Something faster, deeper, and far more terrifying than before. Last season humbled Manchester City. This season might unleash a monster. The rebuild will fascinate you. You see, when the season finally ended, Pep Guardiola didn't rush into big attacking signings or headline-grabbing transfers. He stepped back and studied why the team had fallen apart. The more he reviewed the games, the clearer the picture became. Manchester City lost their identity because the structure holding everything together had weakened. The patterns, the control, the security in possession, all of it depends on what happens behind the ball. And last season, the foundation cracked. Pep has always believed that the back line is the start of every attacking move. If the build-up is shaky, the midfield becomes exposed. If the midfield loses balance, the forwards receive inconsistent service. City's issues weren't only in midfield or attack, they started with instability at the base of the team. Constant injuries forced defensive rotations every week, and the lack of rhythm made every other department struggle. So, Guardiola made a decision. The rebuild would begin where the problems first appeared, the defense. Not with panic, not with sweeping changes, but with a plan built around consistency and depth. The goal was simple: restore calm, restore organization, and restore the confidence that allowed City to control matches through possession rather than chaos. He knew that football isn't just tactics, it's psychology. A stable defense gives the entire squad freedom. When defenders trust each other, midfielders begin to take risks again. When midfielders trust the build-up, attackers move with more conviction. That chain reaction is what City had lost. So, this rebuild was about giving the squad a platform to feel untouchable again. He wanted multiple defensive profiles available at all times. Ball carriers, hybrid players, aggressive defenders, composed passers. Enough variation to adjust to any opponent without feeling forced into improvisation. The aim was to make City stable again. So, he rebuilt it piece by piece, starting with the players who had already proven they could anchor big moments. At first, Ederson remained the constant, but he proved otherwise later on and had to be switched with Donnarumma. And so, Pep wanted a defensive group that could protect him properly, allowing his passing game to matter again. Ruben Diaz and Nathan Ake formed the core pairing. Diaz brings leadership, calmness, and elite defensive timing. Ake gives City a left-footed balance, strong tackling, and clean decision-making. And together, they form a combination Pep trusts for the biggest matches. Behind them is John Stones, the specialist, who shifts into midfield and guides the rhythm of the build-up. When Stones plays, City almost gain an extra playmaker in the first phase. Manuel Akanji offers versatility. Centre-back, right-back, or even hybrid roles, he fills gaps without losing consistency. Then comes Abdulkadir Husanov, the young addition with raw intensity. He's aggressive, fearless, and learning quickly under Guardiola's system. His presence means City finally have 5 senior centre-backs who can rotate without lowering level. The fullback positions received their own upgrade. Rico Lewis adds intelligence and composure, stepping into midfield when needed. Tino Livramento, a player City are monitoring closely, brings directness, pace, and a one-on-one strength. On the left, Joško Gvardiol offers defensive solidity, long-range threat, and aerial presence, while Rayan Cherki introduces a more creative winger-like profile. For the first time in a while, Guardiola can choose between defensive setups based on strategy, not desperation. Back three, back four, inverted shapes, City can shift into anything without losing balance. The rebuild began here, and the foundation finally looks unbreakable. Then came the heartbeat of his system, the midfield. Every issue City faced, slow transitions, gaps between the lines, stale build-up, traced back to one moment: Rodri's injury. When he stepped away, the entire structure loosened. His positioning, his timing, his ability to connect each phase of play, all of it disappeared from the center of the pitch, and the team never found a reliable replacement during his absence. Then came the challenge of age and availability. Ilkay Gundogan's intelligence remained sharp, though covering long stretches of the pitch grew harder for him. Kevin De Bruyne still produced moments of brilliance whenever he played, but those appearances came in shorter waves as he battled recurring injuries. Without them, the midfield struggled to maintain the fluidity that once defined Manchester City. So Guardiola reshaped the unit completely. Tijani Raiders arrived with the kind of energy and movement City lacked. His runs into the box, his ability to link play, and his end product, 15 goals and 5 assists, gave the midfield a new dynamic presence. Then there was Rayan Cherki, a player with rare creativity in tight spaces. He shifts defenders with quick touches, escapes pressure, and brings a level of unpredictability City needed when De Bruyne wasn't available. Behind them, Bernardo Silva, Mateo Kovacic, and Nico Gonzalez provide rotation that many clubs would envy. Suddenly, the midfield wasn't patchwork anymore. It was rebuilt, restored, and ready to control matches again. And with that restoration came a shift in tempo. City's passes regained rhythm, the triangles returned, and the spaces between lines opened naturally. Even opponents noticed the change. Pressing City became riskier, countering them became harder, and dictating the pace became nearly impossible. A balanced midfield is what makes Guardiola's football feel suffocating, and this version looked ready to bring that suffocation back. But what about the attack? Last season, that sharp edge softened. The patterns weren't as clean, the movement lost its timing, and the supply into the final third arrived late or not at all. Once the structure behind the forwards was rebuilt, Pep shifted his attention to restoring the one thing City relied on for years: constant pressure. Erling Haaland stood at the center of this transformation. Even during a difficult season, he produced 31 goals and 4 assists. His finishing never faded, his movement inside the box stayed precise, and he continued punishing mistakes with the same cold efficiency. With a healthier midfield behind him and fresher wide options around him, Haaland enters the new season with more support than he's ever had at City. On the right, Jeremy Doku adds raw electricity. He drives at defenders without hesitation and forces entire back lines to collapse toward his side. His dribbling creates openings even in tight matches, and with improved structure around him, the chaos he creates becomes far easier to convert into goals. And across from him, Savio brings a cleaner, more composed approach. His pace stretches back lines, though his real strength is his decision-making. He times his passes well, he combines smoothly with overlapping fullbacks, and he picks the moments to cut inside. For Guardiola, that blend of discipline and creativity fits perfectly into controlled attacking phases. Phil Foden floats between the wing and midfield, slipping into pockets that defenders constantly lose sight of. His intelligence adds another creative channel, giving City flexibility whenever Cherki rotates, when Pep needs an extra playmaker. Then there's Omar Marmoush, the unexpected weapon. He arrived with low expectations and immediately surpassed them, scoring 7 goals and 2 assists for City in half a season. His movement, strength, and confidence give Pep a second forward who can operate as a starter, not a backup. With these options working together, City's attack regains its pressure, its unpredictability, and its threat. But perhaps the biggest improvement was the synergy. Each forward complements the others in a way that forces defenders into impossible choices. Press Doku and Cherki gets space. Track Foden inside and Haaland drifts into gaps. Close Haaland and Marmoush slips behind unnoticed. Every movement triggers another, and when City's attack functions like a chain reaction, very few teams can survive 90 minutes without conceding. Undeniably, the fear factor has returned. But the question is, can City dominate Europe again? Comment below as you leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more amazing videos like this one.